Assalamu alaikum. So, if you're a Muslim that's wanting to get married in Indonesia as a foreigner, we're going to talk about how do you actually do it. So, Alhamdulillah, I myself got married in Indonesia as a foreign Muslim, and I now help other brothers to do the same process. So, what I'm going to do is basically outline the whole process from start to finish, just so you can have a clear picture in your mind of how do things actually work, inshallah. So, prerequisites firstly is you're a practicing Muslim, you are financially ready to fly over to cover the marriage process and to take care of a wife, which is about $10,000 plus in savings. Now, are you going to spend $10,000? Most likely no, but it does give you that freedom. It does give you that sort of, you're more comfortable when you've got about $10,000 in savings. So you have the flexibility to fly over to Indonesia for at least a month for marriage logistics. So I do have other videos on the channel detailing basically all of these points as well about why do you actually need $10,000 in savings and so on. So you can check out those if you have questions on those. But we're going to go over them a bit more briefly just so you can get the full picture in this video. So you've got the flexibility to fly over for at least a month. So yeah, you're going to need that. You're going to know, where you're going to live after marriage. You've at least got a plan. Okay, I'm going to make hijrah to Indonesia, or I'm going to bring my wife to Egypt, to Saudi, etc. So you know that. You've got clear non-negotiables for what you're looking for in a wife. Very clear. I will absolutely not accept such and such a thing. So you're clear with that. Clear boundaries for your marriage process. So, okay, we're not going to do any private texting throughout it. We're not going to do a haram wedding and so on and so forth. You're going to set those. And what I like to do, just simply on iPhone notes or on your laptop, whatever, you're going to make the notes of, okay, these are my boundaries, these are my non-negotiables, and then you've just got them very clearly there for you. So there'll also be other videos on the channel and other channels talking about these specific topics as well. So searching for a wife. So that's going to be your first step once you've got the prerequisites out of the way. So what are the three ways? Just to simplify it, either in person, you're going to find a wife in person, or through personal connections, or through online platforms. So in person is the most suitable if you've already made hijrah. You're already sort of in the community. Maybe you've just been there for a month, you've been there for a couple of months. You've actually integrated a little bit, you know people, and therefore you have personal connections. So you're not just coming over in person. This is a very, very common thing, which I've not seen it work ever, is that brothers will fly over from the US, they'll fly over from Canada with the plan of, okay, I'm going to try and find a wife in person. I'm going to try and stumble across them essentially. Now, whether that be actually stumbling across a sister, but most brothers, they're actually trying to go in masjids and find a man within the masjid who then knows a sister that he's able to marry. Now, this just generally doesn't work. I've got videos talking about it on the channel as well. But in summary, it's that so little of them will speak any English. Less than 10% of the men in the masses will speak English, let alone the fact that you're just coming over as a foreigner, nobody knows you. It's not the most ideal in this specific situation. So, but if you've already made hijrah, it can make sense to do it in person, in which case you probably would have already been doing that. So most likely if you're watching this video, you're probably not in that situation. And yeah, basically you'd be trying personal connections. So whether you're abroad now, you're not actually living here, and you've already got personal connections, maybe you know some people that have made hijrah over here, and then you can ask those. Maybe you just know Indonesians for some reason. You can then obviously ask those, which probably if you're watching this video again, you're not in that situation or you've already tried that. So number three, that leaves you with online platforms. So most brothers, they only have the option of online platforms. So yeah, what do the scholars mention regarding what is permissible with these apps? So there shouldn't be photos shared publicly of the women. There shouldn't be private texting. So there shouldn't be the seclusion of the man and the woman whereby they can text privately, non-mahrams. So that does rule out many of the apps. Now, if you want my help actually finding a suitable sister, you can go to the link in the description. If you just don't know where to start with this, then you can go to the link in the description, and inshallah, I can literally get you started within days, inshallah. So yeah, vetting next. Once you've actually found a potentially suitable sister, you spoke with her wali, you're then going to move on to vetting. So you're going to see, okay, are we actually compatible? Now, if you're already here, you're going to be doing in-person meetings most likely, which is going to be the best. But most brothers, they're not. Most brothers, what they're going to do is, and maybe some brothers, they don't even think of this either. So some brothers think, okay, the only thing that we can possibly do is I'm going to fly over, and then maybe it delays for a while. But what a lot of brothers who I've seen get married here, what they do is online video calls. So from wherever they are, whether they're in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the US, Canada, blah, 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 what they're going to do is video calls with the wily and with the sister. So what they're going to do, they're going to ask questions to assess each other's compatibility. So they'll go back and forth. Maybe they'll do multiple calls twice a week, whatever, up until they have vetted to outcome is generally what I see work the best, rather than a arbitrary time frame of, okay, let's do vetting, let's get to know each other for 6 months. Rather, what the brothers actually seem to get married here, what they do is vet to outcome. Okay, we're going to vet until we think we're compatible. So however long that takes for the specific situation is going to differ. So you're going to do that. And then what you're going to do once you both decided, okay, I think we're compatible, what you're going to do is plan to fly over to Indonesia to then do a first meeting and then start finalizing things. So moving on to flying over. So the sooner you're able to do it, the better, of course. Rather, like once you've said, okay, I think we're compatible, the sooner you can fly over. Like obviously the most ideal, you fly over the next day, rather than you've assessed you're compatible, but then you can't fly over for 7 months or something, and then all sorts can happen within that time frame. So inshallah, you're in a position where you're able to fly over quickly. And then you'll do a first meeting. So then you can both look at each other in person, most likely for the first time if you've only done it on video calls, which is going to be important, probably more so for the brothers, but also both sides. And then if all is good, you're both happy to move forward, then what you're going to do is formally get engaged. So most likely you do the first meeting, and then the second meeting, you'll actually get engaged. And then you basically, there's no such thing necessarily Islamically as like a proper engagement thing, as though it's some big like celebration or whatever, but rather it's, okay, you've agreed, we're going to get married now. In which case, you're now going to move on to the logistical side of it. You've agreed you're going to get married with the wali, with the sister, and then what you're going to do is move on to logistics. So it is best definitely to do a one-way flight rather than booking a flight over with a return ticket in a month. For this, it is going to be, you're going to be a lot more rushed. You're not going to have that flexibility. So 100% doing a one-way flight is the best thing here. Then how do you actually go from, okay, we've got engaged, to actually being married? So you're going to have a lot of moving parts within this time. You're going to be sorting out marriage documents. You're going to be sorting out visas. Now, if you're going to be staying longer term, that's going to obviously be a bit more. But you're going to, nonetheless, even if you're staying short term, you're going to be doing visas, even planning as well. Housing, if you're also making hijrah here, you're going to be sorting rent, long-term housing. If not, you're just going to be still sorting out the short term. And then, there's going to be more things as well that you're going to be sorting out. So give yourself at least a month for this process. It's not necessarily going to take a month, but it may take over a month. So give yourself a little bit of freedom with that. And then once you've sorted the documents and you've agreed on a nikah date with the KUA, you're then going to be married, inshallah. So the KUA is the religious office that officiates the marriage. You're going to ask them for what documents you need. You're going to sort them. You're then going to agree on a nikah date. Okay, we're going to get married in 3 days' time, and then you're going to be married, inshallah. So, inshallah, this whole video is just giving you more clarity on how does the overall process look. And if you actually want my help throughout the process, you want me to literally be there with you from now all the way up until the end, just to speed things up, to avoid costly mistakes, and to go into it all with a lot more clarity, have someone just there where you've literally got access to him throughout the whole process. Go to the link in the description, and inshallah, I can help you through it.